Hello, everybody. It's that part of the week where we can just let our hair down. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday Truths. Well, if you're in England or the UK, or sorry, that's the same, or America, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. When would it be? It would be Monday evening. But it's called Tuesday Truths, so don't get confused. Welcome to Tuesday Truths. Today we're sharing some powerful moments from the part one of our conversation with Butterss. We talk about the impact of societal pressures, the journey to self-acceptance, and the small steps that can lead to big change. Make sure to come back tomorrow for part two with Ash. You'll see some bits in here today that's come from part two, so that'll hopefully convince you to come back. And there's a lot more wisdom and inspiration on the way for sure. Stick around though for the short clips from our chat. Even in these bite-sized truths, there's something for everyone to take away. If you missed part one though, please go back and listen to it, and part two will be here tomorrow. But for now, stick around for the next 10-15 minutes and enjoy. Until tomorrow, we'll see you then. But here's Ash and today's Tuesday's Truths. But what's your definition of happiness? I always find it quite interesting how people perceive happiness, because happy isn't one of our 9 survival emotions. So
yes.
What is happiness to you?
Happiness to me is the fundamental belief that I am enough and that I have enough. And to me, you could almost summarize that as either contentment, or another really beautiful word that's used in recovery circles, which is where I live my life a lot of the time now, is serenity. You know, just having that sense of peace and serenity that take a deep exhale and that everything is okay. And that to me is actually far more enriching and far more fulfilling than happiness as such, because happiness can be quite fleeting and, to your point, can often be impacted by the things outside of ourselves, other people's behaviors and words and whatnot. Whereas if I think of my inner happiness, it's actually more about my inner peace. So yeah, it's kind of like I spin it a little bit, but that's when I'm happiest, when I have that feeling of contentment that's inside my soul.
Yeah, I love the word contentment, because I will run over it very quickly, because if we do have any new viewers, I can say it, but the one who do tune into all the time going, oh God, we're going to repeat every episode. So very, very quickly, the 4 C's for me, and I love the fact that you brought contentment. The 4 C's of contentment for me is connection. The first C is connection. The second C is contribution. I think you know where I'm going with that. You know, I was a teacher. The podcast contribution to the world. Obviously, the things you're about to explain what you do could be your contribution to the world. The third C would be cope. So within cope would be sleep, mindfulness, exercise, and the fourth C would be cook. We talk about nutrition on this quite a lot, you know, with the food-mood connection, contributing to our mental health as well. And happiness. I love how you said that you're in a peace. You know, let's say you annoyed me right now and made me angry. It doesn't mean I go away from the happiness or contentment in my life. And happiness for me is threefold, and it's a long-term state. And that makes up of, one, understanding my purpose in life. When you have why do you get up every morning? What do you get up for every morning? And that's obviously different for everybody. Enjoyment, finding enjoyment in the things that I do. Even work, even getting up and what I do every day. It's important that people enjoy, because I do think the majority of us are living in fear, going to work, in the grind, right? And then that third part of happiness would be satisfaction. So when you finish doing what you enjoy, you're satisfied. Because if you're not, then it doesn't make up the foundation of happiness. I know we've probably gone off a little bit, but you see where I'm going with that. And I listened to somebody say that, and I was like, that makes sense. And I kind of manipulated it slightly.
I like that you've broken it down and made it your own, because I think that, you know, I've got this whole joke that I believe we need to give the word contentment a real PR spin, or marketing revamp, because it's so not a sexy word, but I honestly think it is the most beautiful emotion, feeling, state of being that there possibly is out there. And yet it doesn't sound super sexy. You know, if I'm working with clients and I'm saying, you know, after our time together, you're going to feel peace and contentment, it's kind of you know, and especially if you've never felt that, because you don't know how good it is until you actually get there. And that's why I spent over 2 decades chasing the happiness trap rather than the inner peace and the inner contentment, which is far more fulfilling and far less fleeting.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the people, the type of people that you help and support and talk to on a daily basis, do you feel then modern society has replaced happiness with pleasure?
Yeah, it could be. I think that it's, it all comes back to the world of advertising and the fact that we're being sold to on a constant basis. And now with social media at our fingertips every waking moment of the day, there's always this constant feedback, telling us that we're not enough, that we need this. And when you get this, then you'll be happy. My TED talk is this whole idea that what school doesn't teach you about happiness is that happiness is really an inside-out job, whereas the world that we live in today markets to us constantly that it exists in the thing. Once you get the job, once you get the new car, once you get the person, and then you marry the person, and then you have the 2.5 kids. Yet what had happened for me in my own story is I kept ticking the boxes that society told me I needed to be happy. And yet every time I achieved one of those things, I would feel this incredible gaping hole in my soul. And I would be convinced that there must be something wrong with me because I'd done everything that I was told I needed to do. And yet I was feeling more and more and more disconnected and more unhappy. Well, it was actually, that was the catalyst to my rock bottom. So my ex-husband at the time, he had his own demons. He was dealing with a lot. We'd lost his brother to suicide actually 2 weeks before our wedding day. And so we'd been married for 2 years at the time, and it was the start of 2020. And he decided he was going to go to India to try to sort out his life and get clean and heal. And I remember thinking, because I was so good at blaming him for my addiction, that I thought, once you go to India and I'm on my own, I'm going to tidy up my act, I'm going to stop drinking every day, I'm going to get back into the gym and, all this stuff, and life will be great. That was, the delusion. And he went off to India, and within 5 days, I was drinking more than I'd ever drunk before. And that was what led me to that Friday night, the 14th of February, 2020, where I told my mum, I was in Melbourne at the time, I told my mum I was going to go out for one drink, which I truly believed that's what I was doing. But, as an alcoholic, it's never just one. And I ended up walking back through the doors of her house, 8 o'clock the next morning, and the look of devastation and just utter hopelessness on her face broke me. It shattered me. And I fell to my knees and I just said, I need help. And that was the day that we called the rehab, and I was walked through the doors of that rehab 7 days later, and that's my sobriety date, which is the 24th of February 2020.
So that's clearly the pivotal moment, isn't it, for you?
Without a doubt.
If I was to ask your mum that question of how she felt that day and what it appeared, that atmosphere even in that room, and seeing her daughter the way she was, what do you think her response would be in this moment right here if she was sat next to you?
Oh, she was just broken. She was just so sad, and I think she just felt like there was nothing else she could do.
So she knew the build-up before that night then?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I'd been hiding vodka bottles because I would stay with Mum when I came down to Melbourne for work, because my head office was actually in Melbourne, even though I lived in Sydney, so I was flying back and forth a lot. And I'd hide vodka bottles in my underwear drawer in the spare room and all sorts of crazy behaviour. And I think, she just hoped that I would finally get to that point, but she didn't know. None of us knew what it was going to take. And just I think utterly broken and just sheer devastation at that point. Yeah. And then when I said I need help, but it was like, it was a call to arms. She was on the phone to my dad. He was over at her house within 10 minutes. And the three of us sat there, and I was chain smoking cigarettes out the back. And we made a plan, and it was a really beautiful moment of coming together as a family. But yeah, it was pretty devastating as well to see, her baby girl in that much pain. If there was one thing that you could start doing tomorrow, I would suggest implementing a morning routine. This has been an absolute game changer for me. It was something that I started doing in rehab, and it can be whatever it needs to be for you. You're welcome to reach out to me, DM me on Instagram. I can give you some ideas, but at a pinch, the things that are absolute non-negotiables for me in the morning, prayer. And that can be, whether you're praying to God, the universe, angels, whatever it is, developing and nurturing that spiritual connection for me has been a fundamental in changing who I am and becoming the woman I am today. And maybe today, and it could just be, a message of thanks, of gratitude. That then leads me into writing a gratitude list. So at a minimum, 3 things that you're grateful for, share it with someone. Make sure they share it back with you. That's a really important part. Prayer, gratitude, and meditation. Meditation, even if it's just 5 minutes, it can be guided, it can be unguided, it doesn't matter what it is. Meditation is the tool that is going to help you learn how to practice the pause. And if you can be somebody who just takes a couple of breaths before answering a question, you will stop being a people pleaser. You will live more embodied, you will have better intention, and you will feel like you're living a life that is in alignment with your values, not a life that you feel like you should be living based on society's expectations. So prayer, gratitude, meditation, morning routine.
I'm going to throw one more in there because routines was part of my notes, and routines actually, believe it or not, comes up in most episodes. Something that I've got a picture of you here as well. The cold plunges. This is what I do every morning.
Yes, so I've got to be real here. I hate cold plunges.
I knew you were going to say that.
And it's something that I go in and out of doing. I certainly don't do it all the time. And also, there's all these statistics on whether or not they're actually good for women or not. Certainly not ice baths, but a cold plunge around 8 degrees is. I think that they are brilliant, but I do not like them. So I want to be very honest about that.
Nobody likes them. It's the feeling that you feel for the rest of the day you fall in love with.
I would rather do an hour yoga flow.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I just love the feeling how just clear and I am when I've done it. I don't know what it is. I know the science behind it, but it's so real for me. That's really one of the things that changed. I was just reading about a guy suffering with anxiety who wouldn't go out of his house for 10 years. I wasn't to that point, but he started to talk about the trauma on the skin being, it's traumatized now, isn't it? Cold water on the skin, because we've programmed ourselves to have hot baths and hot showers and get rid of the day that way. So, but hundreds of years ago, we would just cold plunge every day. Right? Because we didn't have heating, we didn't have hot showers, we didn't have hot baths, we'd have to bathe in the cold. And we've gone so far away from that. We've programmed to be comfortable, really comfortable, and really I've got a neuroscientist, Paul Taylor, who I've interviewed on here as well. He's got a book called Death by Comfort. We need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable again, and that's how we build resilience. For sure. You know what I mean? We've become so comfortable, and I'd spent a whole episode talking about comfortability. And
well, it's one of the reasons I love teaching yin yoga so much, because you hold the poses for 3 to 5 minutes, and oh my goodness, talk about meeting yourself.
Oh my Lord, yeah.
Physically it's uncomfortable, but mentally as well, to sit in the stillness and just to be with yourself. So I totally agree. Learning to sit in discomfort is a superpower.
Superpower. What you just witnessed is only a snippet of our amazing conversation this week. This is what Leading Our Own Way is all about. Real stories, real transformation. If you're watching this before Wednesday, part 1 dropped yesterday and part 2 releases tomorrow. But if you're already here after Wednesday, all parts are available now. Head to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and every other major platform and look for the numbers on the bottom left-hand corner of the episode's covers to start with part 1. Trust me, you don't want to miss this incredible journey.